Hello, welcome. We are live from the Portman Road press box at 7:15 p.m. So half an hour till kick-off here. Ipswich Town versus Charlton Athletic. It feels like a big week for Ipswich without overplaying it too much. Back-to-back home games here. Charlton, as I mentioned tonight, and then West Brom on Saturday lunchtime. But let's not get ahead of ourselves too much. A quick look back to start with. This is a prime opportunity for Ipswich to bounce back from that frustrating, disappointing 2-1 defeat at Middlesbrough on Friday night. It's amazing how people's emotions are swinging from one extreme to another after that bruising Premier League relegation. I think we all knew that it might take a bit of time for a new look Ipswich to find their feet in the Championship again, but there is pressure. There are expectations. We thought a corner had been turned post-transfer window closing. Just trying to work it out. Was it 10 points from a possible 15 off the top of my head? 3 straight home wins, culminating in that long overdue East Anglian derby victory against Norwich. We all went off into the second international break with a real spring in our steps. And then that Middlesbrough result and performance. Back down to earth, is that overplaying it a little bit? I mean, look, that's a game that could have easily tipped another way on another day. Obviously, the penalty, the George Hurst saved penalty just before half-time, followed by the Cedric Kipre own goal, was a definitive spell in a crazy game of football, really. Ipswich far too open in that first half, like a basketball game at times, wasn't it? But there you go. On the road, Ipswich have had their struggles. Here at Portman Road, they've been finding some form. Let's hope that can continue this evening. A few of you starting to join me. Good evening to you all. Saltwater born there. Come on, you Blues. Absolutely. Let's talk you through the team news tonight. I've just mentioned off the back of that performance, disappointing result at Middlesbrough. We knew that there would be some changes tonight. The last time Ipswich played in midweek was Bristol City. 6 changes that night. Kieran McKenna said it won't be the same team again, but sort of alluded in his press conference yesterday that it was a balancing act between freshening it up, but also maintaining some partnerships within the team. My guess was 6. Alex, to my right, thought 8. Split the difference. It's 7. 7 changes for Ipswich Town, which is quite a lot, isn't it? I think there'll be a mixture of reasons behind that. 1, to give others their chance off the back of a defeat. 2, to freshen things up, fresh legs, albeit there was an extra day's recovery with it being on a Friday night. So yeah, let me run through them for you. The 7 changes. I'll try and do this off at the top of my head. So out of the team comes Darnell Furlong, Cedric Kipre. Azor Matasi was suspended, 1 match ban after picking up 5 yellows. Ridiculous to see one of those in the ghost game at Blackburn, but there you go. And then the entire front 4, which means Sindre Vollett-Ageli, Sammy Schmodix, Jaden Philogene, who's been on fire here, 5 outstanding goals in his last 3 appearances. He drops to the bench as well. And George Hurst, off the back of that saved penalty up at the Riverside, all drop out. The 7 that come in are Ashley Young, who we haven't seen a lot of. The veteran former England international comes in. Bit of experience tonight, maybe off the back of a difficult result. Will be a part of it. Set pieces as well, of course. Jacob Greaves back in for Cedric Kipre in central defence after that 0-0 two games for Cedric Kipre. The thumping finish that broke the deadlock against Norwich, followed by that slightly comedic own goal against Middlesbrough. He drops out. Jacob Greaves back in. The midfield makeup, we've a lot of discussion about that going into this. With Azor Matasi were out. No real like-for-like replacement in terms of a holding midfielder, a midfield destroyer, a defensive shield. The makeup is Marcelino Nunez making his first Portman Road start as an Ipswich player. He started here for Norwich, but his first start here at Portman Road since signing in the summer. I think he will play as the deeper of the midfield too, alongside Jens Kajusta, who goes again. We wondered whether his knee, his fitness would allow that. I thought he was below par actually up at Middlesbrough, and as good as we know Jens Kajusta can be, he's not producing 90-minute performances and he's not been consistent enough. And I think that's the next step for him. So we want to see a bit more from Jens Kajusta tonight. So Nunez and Kajusta, neither of them are out and out holding midfielders. Both, Kajusta likes to tackle. Marcelino Nunez covers a lot of ground. Neither of them are midfield destroyers. Neither of them are midfield sitters. I would imagine Nunez will play it in the sort of quarterback style. Kieran McKenna's talked about him playing as a 6. He's played as a 6 in a double pivot. He's played as a 6 on his own with 2 midfielders ahead of him at Norwich. I think he will play on the right side, and Kajusta will continue in his kind of left-sided box-to-box. But they need to play that with discipline, those two, tonight, because Charlton have got a midfield 3, and it's important they don't get overrun, that Nunez doesn't let, a lot of Norwich fans says he runs a lot, but sometimes he needs to be a bit more disciplined with that, and he's certainly, if he's going to be the holding midfielder tonight, he's got to be disciplined with the way he plays that role. So we'll see how that goes. And then the top end of the pitch, the 4 that come in tonight is Casey McAteer on the right. Fair to say that he's not hit the ground running since making his £11.5 million move from Leicester. He's been out the team for the last 3 games off the top of my head. Sindre Bolegeli coming in for Portsmouth, doing quite well. Sorry, and then I'll correct myself. Then he dropped out. Then he came back in and did well against Norwich. Then he kept his place up at Middlesbrough, but looked a little bit lost up at the Riverside. We've seen some encouraging stuff from Sindre in the home games against Portsmouth and Norwich, but another one who was a little bit off it up at Middlesbrough. So a chance to try and reintegrate McAteer, and hopefully he can offer a little bit more on the right-hand side tonight. Chuba Akpom in for Sammy Schmodics as the 10. Neither Schmodics or Akpom have really affected things enough as the 10 so far this season. Neither of them scored yet. Ipswich have got to find a way to get their number 10s contributing in terms of assists and goals. Can that be tonight? Can Akpom open his Ipswich Town account? Both former Golden Boot winners, of course. I really hope so. And then Jack Clark on the left. Bit of a surprise to me that Philogene drops out, given what he's been doing here at Portman Road with those goals, but he wasn't bang at it at Middlesbrough either, and Jack Clark has been patiently waiting. He could have done no more with these super sub appearances off the bench. He's been scoring goals, he's been creating chances, he's been working hard. More importantly than anything, he's come on and he's injected energy every time he's stepped off the bench. He deserves a chance, he gets it here tonight. And then a change up front, which I don't think comes as a big surprise. George Hurst hasn't really happened for him, really, at the start of this season. He stepped into Liam Delap's sizable boots, was handed the number 9 shirt, felt like he had real confidence going into the season, had a great goals per minute ratio in the Premier League. Whenever I've spoken to supporters, I remember we did our live podcast, when was that, around March time, when I think that was off the back of the Nottingham Forest home defeat, when Hurst came on and scored a really good header. There was a sense that at that stage, we know Liam Delap's going, but we're pretty comfortable with George Hurst stepping in, and certainly that's how Kieran McKenna felt. As I say, gave him the number 9 shirt, felt like the Scotland call-up gave him an extra bit of belief, gets that pressure penalty equaliser at Birmingham on the opening day, but hasn't really kicked on from there, has he? It's not just been the chances that have been missed. He's scored 3, probably could have had double with some of the chances he's had. It's been his overall play. The work rate is never in question, but the sharpness of the touch just hasn't quite been there for George Hurst, and he's admitted that in some of the interviews that he's done with colleague Alex to my right. Probably a good time for him to dip out. I think some of the kind of comments writing him off, saying he's not good enough, have been a bit too premature, a bit over the top for me, but probably a wise decision just to dip him out for a game, maybe 2, and give Ivan Azon his chance, the Como loanee, the Spanish striker, who I think everyone's enjoyed the brief glimpses that we've seen of him so far. His one start at Bristol City was a tough evening, but with off the bench certainly here, he's another one that's injected energy. He's a different type to George Hurst. Puts himself about, likes a battle. I think he runs off the shoulder, much like George Hurst does. Hit the post twice, of course. I enjoyed speaking to him in an exclusive interview recently. Can he take his chance like so many of the others tonight? Let's wait and see. The bench, just to run through that, is Walton, Kipray, Ben Johnson back in the squad, the lesser spotted Ben Johnson, one of 4 right backs at the club. He's certainly at least third in that pecking order, with Furlong and Young clearly ahead of him. Harry Clark obviously is another option there. He's in because of the Matasiwa suspension. Space opens up on the bench for him. Then what have we got? Jack Taylor, who I wondered whether he might start tonight. Furlong also amongst the subs. Schmodix, Philogene, Ageli and Hurst. So there is some firepower there to call upon, as we've become accustomed to. Get a few thoughts before we move on to Charlton. A few of you. David Bergen, good evening from Dublin. Good evening, David. Thank you for joining me. Reginald Barker here. 3-1 win, Blues. I'll take that. I've gone for 2-1. But this is a tricky game. No doubt about it. I think Ipswich's home form, I think their depth can carry them over the line, but I'll come on to it in a minute. Charlton, as Kieran McKenna's referenced, are awkward opposition, and in many ways, I think their qualities represent many of the things that have been Ipswich's Achilles heel, not just this season, but in seasons gone by under Kieran McKenna. Chris Flash Mulvaney, 4-0 Ipswich tonight. He's feeling confident. That's good to see. Daniel Crack, 3-2 to Town, but I want a clean sheet. Only one so far in 10 games. That's including the Blackburn one. Not good enough. Yeah, I agree, Daniel. I have got no doubt whatsoever that this team will score goals over the course of the season. They're not quite there as an attacking force at the moment. Work in progress, still clicking, but still, we've seen in the Sheffield United game, they can score 5 goals. Norwich, 3 goals. There is individual quality here, and once that individual quality is fully gelled and the patterns of play are bedded in, the goals should flow. I'm hopeful that is the case. Between now and then, the defensive side of things needs to improve, as just referenced. One clean sheet, not good enough. A lot of those have been individual errors. I actually thought in the opening stages of the season, it was more moments in games. They weren't giving away a lot of big chances, but, it would be trying to think that Dara O'Shea not dealing with a long ball forward against Derby, Jacob Greaves giving away a penalty at Preston. The goals were of that nature. One long ball, one moment, one mistake that were leading to goals against. But in general, Ipswich were quite solid. Fast forward to the last few games, Bristol City looked wide open on the counter-attack. Bristol City carved through Ipswich too many times for my liking that day. Norwich had some moments in that first half, pressing high, forcing mistakes. Ipswich rode their luck on a few occasions there. And then Friday night at Middlesbrough. As I said, that was a basketball game in the first half. I think Paul Merson on punditry duty said afterwards, it was like the latter stages of a cup tie. Extra time, both sides going for it. Did Ipswich need to show a bit more respect at a team up there at the top end of the table, away from home? Be a bit more pragmatic, organised, solid, a solid base? Possibly, but Kieran McKenna will argue that that's the way they've always played, and it served them so well during the back-to-back promotions. What they had in the Championship was momentum, team chemistry. They're not quite there at the moment. So in the meantime, do they need to be a little bit more solid? I think so. There's been a big debate about whether 4-2-3-1 is becoming a bit too predictable, whether there needs to be a plan B, whether 3 in midfield or wing backs or even 2 up front is something that needs to be looked at. It's been 4-2-3-1 the whole way through under Kieran McKenna, hasn't it? Like-for-like substitutions, and it doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon. Plan B is do Plan A better, quite clearly. Is that wise? Time will tell. I think it's far too early at the moment to be making too many grand declarations about where Ipswich are at in this promotion race. I've only played 9 games so far. This will be number 10. But there's some valid conversations in there. I do accept that. Kev, what's the crowd like? Starting to fill up. Still got 15 minutes till kick-off. I think on a midweek game, everyone's maybe enjoying a pint or 2 pre-kick-off, making their way from work through the traffic. But it will be a near sellout again, I would assume. That's a given these days. Kev's going for 2-1 as on Schmodix. I like the sound of that. As on starting, Schmodix would have to be off the bench. And a Charlton fan joining us. Good evening to Ewan Mason. As a Charlton fan, I hope we can keep it tight and find space on the break tonight. I am at least confident we won't concede 4 like the last 3 games versus you lot. 3 games, is that right? Yeah, well, the 4-4 was always going to stick in my mind, with Ipswich going 4-2 up in stoppage time and still managing to draw that game in the League One promotion season, that wasn't it? Yeah. I'm hoping from an Ipswich perspective you're not as eventful. Charlton, you will know more than I. You in watching yourselves, but Nathan Jones' sides, intense, in your face. It's a back 5, is it 5-3-2, 3-5-2? A team that's been recruited largely from the lower divisions. A few players obviously joining Nathan Jones from Luton. Kieran McKenna has referenced them being awkward opposition, a team that go man for man defensively, that will mix it up, that will go direct when they want to. And those are the sort of teams, particularly here at Portman Road, that have given Ipswich Town issues over the last few years, certainly during those back-to-back promotion seasons. So I'm intrigued to see how this pans out. I mean, we've seen it when teams have something to defend here. Derby County, when they were given those 2 goals after half-time here, then they could engage the dark arts, time wasting. And Ipswich didn't have much of an answer to it. Up at Preston score an early penalty, and then they park the bus. And I'm not knocking that at all. There's different ways to win games, and they sat deep. They had a back 5 at times, and Ipswich didn't have an answer to it. So there is a slight fear of mine that tonight's game could follow that same pattern. First goal feels crucial. The old cliche, but we're finding that, aren't we? Ipswich have scored the first goal in every game here at Portman Road this season. They've conceded the first goal in every game away from home, and there is a discrepancy between the home points and the away points, of course. So, first goal feels massive tonight. Get it, crowds up, and that Ipswich could go on to enjoy themselves, and some of those individual quality will show. The subs can hopefully come on and keep the intensity high, and it could be a bit like the Portsmouth game, where ultimately it will be a comfortable win. Even though the scoreline suggested it wasn't, it was that day. I hope it's that, and I hope it's not like a Derby County type game, but we shall see. Can't underestimate Charlton at all this evening. Peter, greetings from Warsaw. I think we'll bounce back from Middlesbrough and boss this one. Hoping Ashley Young will really shine tonight. Interesting one, Ashley Young. I thought Darnell Furlong has been pretty solid. Pretty consistent so far. He's Mr. Ronsil, does what it says on the tin without setting pulses racing. I think he's been brought in to be a reliable right back. Kieran McKenna clearly doesn't trust Ben Johnson in that role for whatever reason. Even his minutes in the Premier League came as a wing back or even a winger. I wondered whether back in the Championship he'd go back to more of a marauding right back, as was Harry Clark in the first half of that Championship promotion season before Axel Twenzebi took over, but he's gone for the more pragmatic signing in Furlong. Ashley Young was never going to play week in, week out at the age of 40, but he played 20 plus starts, I think, for Everton in the Premier League last season and still has quality. And hopefully that quality shows tonight. Set pieces, he certainly has got quality in those boots. He can play a pass up the line, but I think his leadership is going to be a big one tonight. Ipswich, off the back of a defeat, a little bit of negativity around it. He's someone that can come in and help the players in his immediate vicinity. Certainly the winger in front of him, in Casey McAteer. We'll see how Ashley Young does tonight. Jamie, interesting lineup. What most folk have been calling for, we shall see. I think there was a call for change. People, this is Nunez's first start at Portman Road. This is even Azon's first start at Portman Road. People are excited to see them. New shiny things. People are always better out of the team sometimes. And there's always a clamour to see something different. It's up to them to take their chance now tonight, isn't it? So we shall see. I've got Greaves down to score, says Jamie. Yeah, agrees. Is another one that's come in for a little bit of stick after a few mistakes at the start of this season. For me, his ceiling is very high, and I only have to go back to the Liverpool game on the first day of the Premier League. He was outstanding here, and you can see why Ipswich had spent the money they had. Then he has a hamstring injury. Then he comes back into the team at a difficult stage. He ended the season at left back and actually did quite well there. I know he's made some mistakes at the start of this season. He's not the only one. Kit Pray, outstanding against Norwich, but West Brom fans did say he's got a rick in him at times, and we saw that with the own goal. For me, I want to see a settled central defensive partnership, and I think O'Shea is the one. O'Shea and Greaves are the two that I'd like to see them ride with. So wrapping up in a minute, I think we're not far away now, but Ewan says, I'm hoping Jones doesn't risk bringing Onel Hernandez on. If any manager is going to, I feel like it would be him. Yeah, the Onel Hernandez subplot tonight is an interesting one. Former Norwich man, is the German-born Cuban, outspoken at that. A regular on Norwich City fan podcast during his time there. Been quite outspoken about buying into his hatred of Ipswich Town. He leaves Norwich in the summer, as does his good pal, or former good pal, Marcelino Nunez, over the border to Ipswich. Q Hernandez, free agent at the time, going on the Norwich City podcast, saying that they're no longer friends and that if they ever cross paths again, he will break Marcelino Nunez. He's signed for Charlton now. He's on the bench. Nunez starts tonight. Will those two be on the pitch at the same time at some stage? Will Onel Hernandez try and put one on him? We'll see. They're in different areas of the pitch, but not too different. Nathan Jones is someone who's not shy on showing a bit of passion and being outspoken himself at times. I guess it will depend on the game state, won't it? Couple more before we wrap up. David, for Ipswich to challenge for promotion, we need to be winning these type of games. Yeah, it's pretty simple, isn't it? Really, it does boil down to that. Get Terry Butcher on. He'll kick him into the stands in 2 seconds. I think Terry would be up for that still, actually, to be honest. Even in his advancing years. Nunez with a brace, says Mr. Ipswich Town. I've got him down for first goal scorer tonight, actually. Free kick. That's where that one's going to come from. It could come from a long ranger, couldn't it? But free kicks. Set pieces weren't great at Middlesbrough Friday night. Yes, I know the goal back came from a Nunez corner, O'Shea heading in. But in general, the corners and the free kicks weren't made enough of. And in the Championship, set pieces make or break games so often. Tonight, Nunez on the pitch, Ashley Young on the pitch. I think that means Leif Davis maybe stepping away from a few of them tonight. I think that could be really crucial tonight. A few of you here, Kieran, Nunez to score tonight. Electric Trust, Nunez is key tonight. A few of you calling that, so I really hope that is the case. We're about 5-6 minutes away from kick-off. The stands are really starting to fill up tonight. Must win. Too early to call it that, but in terms of Ipswich showing their promotion credentials and burying that disappointment at Borough, tonight feels massive, doesn't it? We're going to say that every game this season. The pressure is on, the changes have been made. Hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you on the other side.